going to make rich chocolate brownies. So you're going to start with 3 cups of sugar and 6 eggs. I have 5 eggs here because I'm using large eggs instead of medium eggs. And 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Just going to get the mixer going on these ingredients. And you'll want to have your margarine melted. So I have 1.5 cups of margarine, that's 3 squares. I'm just going to cream this here. Alright, we're going to add the margarine, 1.5 cups. And we'll get that one mixed in as well. So this is all your wet ingredients. And now we're going to add some cocoa powder. I have 1 cup of cocoa powder. This is the unsweetened cocoa powder. Just don't put your mixer on too high right away because you don't want it to fly everywhere. So just do that a little bit slow to get that incorporated. Alright, and then we are going to add in 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to scrape my sides before I add my flour, which is my last ingredient. Get right to that bottom, make sure you're getting everything, because I see I still got some sugar on the bottom. Alright. And I have 2 cups of flour. Brownies don't have a lot of flour in there, that's how they stay nice and moist. So I want this to get mixed together so it's not lumpy at all. I'm just going to scrape my sides to make sure I'm getting all that flour. This is going to be big enough for the big cookie sheet. I use the Costco cookie sheet, the 12 by 17 by 1 inch. Technically it's a jelly roll pan. So this looks pretty good. I don't even know if I can do it a little bit longer. Yeah, this looks good. Alright, so I'm going to get my counter cleaned up and we're going to put this in our cookie sheet. Alright, so I've got my cookie sheet greased and I'm going to get my batter in here. I'm going to just take a little bit to spread this because it's fairly thin. The original recipe actually didn't have quite as much flour, and I found it was often hard to find it baked properly through the center, so just by adding a little bit more flour, I found it was a bit easier for spreading and for getting it baked nice without having unbaked sections. But with brownies, you don't want to over bake them either, because then they dry out. You want them to still be chewy and a little bit gooey. So we're going to do this fairly thin. That cocoa powder I use is a Dutch cocoa powder. Very nice. Nice and rich. Alright, so I could be able to push this down a little bit when I put my chocolate chips on top. So you have 2 options for your topping. You can bake it like this and then frost it later, but I prefer to put chocolate chips on it and not frost it. So we're going to do that. Just want to get this fairly even. My other corner. right, a little bit messy. So what we're gonna do, I have a couple of cups of chocolate chips here. So you're gonna sprinkle your chocolate chips on. So they bake right in the top. And then you don't have to frost it with this. These work really well just to eat as a bar or to serve as a dessert with a brownie with some vanilla ice cream on it. So that was about 2 cups of chocolate chips. So at this point, if you can gently press them in a little bit to try and even out your dough. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to do this because it's so sticky. And then we're going to bake this in the oven. So we have 350 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. You'll want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. All right. I think that's pretty good. So we're going to get these in the oven. All right, the brownies are out of the oven. So you can see the edges are a little bit drier. However, the middle is baked. Like a couple minutes ago in the oven, it still had a bit more of a poof in the center, and it wasn't quite baked, but this looks good. So I think this was 25 minutes in my oven. Every oven's gonna be a little bit different, so check it at 25. You might need the 30 minutes. So give it a try and then wait for them to cool to slice them up. And you can serve them with ice cream or just serve them as just a brownie as a square to eat.